Let's dive right into this explainer, because today we are unpacking one of the most profound, mind-bending paradoxes from the Mahaparinirvana Sutra. We're talking about the true nature of nirvana. Now, most of us probably have this preconceived notion of nirvana, right? We think of it as a sort of cosmic extinguishing, like blowing out a candle at the end of existence. But the text we're looking at today completely flip that idea on its head. So, let's look directly at the Buddha's final teachings about reality, illusion, and what it actually means to cross over. Here is our agenda for this explainer. 1. The battle of illusion and reality. 2. Cognitive subverting nirvana. 3. Decoding eternity, bliss, self, purity. And 4. The mother travels, never passing. Starting right off with Section 1, the battle of illusion and reality. So, the source material actually opens with a pretty intense conflict. You have these 6 arrogant heretics who are fundamentally misjudging reality. They honestly believe the Buddha is just this trickster who's manipulating the masses. They literally go to King Pasenadi and file a complaint. They're claiming the Buddha has zero real wisdom, that he's just some young upstart using cheap magic tricks to win over followers. Basically, they're looking at all these profound spiritual transformations happening around them, and their jealousy only lets them see it as a scam. But this wild accusation against the Buddha perfectly sets up the ultimate philosophical stakes for us. The heretics are calling the Buddha an illusionist. But the Buddha, he takes this accusation and totally spins it around. He essentially asks, well, what actually is illusion and what is ultimate reality? Because according to the sutra, it's not the Buddha deceiving the world at all. It's the world deceiving itself. To counter these heretics, the Buddha explains a concept called inverted perception. He says it's the mundane world that suffers from this, totally misunderstanding what is real. Think about it. We look at things that are so incredibly temporary, our physical bodies, our bank accounts, our social status, and we cling to them like they're going to last forever. We take all these fleeting, impermanent phenomena of the world and just stubbornly label them as truth. And that is the core tragedy of the human condition right there. Our internal compass is just completely upside down. Which leads us to Section 2, Cognitive Subverting Nirvana. This comparison right here is a massive paradigm shift. If we want to grasp the true Mahayana definition of nirvana, we have to completely erase that secular misconception of it being mere extinction or nothingness. See, for years, the Buddha taught the mundane view to help people detach from their worldly pain. He taught that life is impermanent, it's full of suffering, it lacks a permanent self, and it's fundamentally impure. But here in his ultimate teaching, he pulls back the curtain. He reveals that true nirvana is the exact opposite. It is eternal, it is pure bliss, it contains a true self, and it is absolute purity. The sutra actually refers to this massive revelation as the lion's roar. It is this bold, cognitive, subverting declaration of the Tathagata's true nature. You know, when a lion roars in the forest, every other animal just goes dead silent. In that exact same way, sitting among the sal trees, the Buddha delivers this definitive truth that instantly silences all the flawed, inverted logic of those heretics and the ordinary world. It's a fearless proclamation of absolute reality. Let's dig deeper into that in Section 3, Decoding Eternity, Bliss, Self, Purity. We really need to deeply analyze these 4 virtues because they completely redefine the end goal of spiritual practice. Set against the backdrop of a pure, majestic land, each of these proves that true nirvana isn't a void, it's a state of boundless, joyous existence. First up, eternity. The Buddha's true nature isn't the product of random causes and conditions, which means it can never decay. It is a permanent, unceasing reality. Second is bliss. Since the agonizing cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death is finally broken, the result isn't just numbness, it's a profound, unshakable joy. Third, true self. While our everyday worldly ego is definitely an illusion, this ultimate state possesses a true self. It's an existence that is fully autonomous and totally free from the chains of karma. And finally, purity. It is completely spotless, totally free from the everyday defilements of greed, anger, and ignorance. But hold on, because this brings us to a massive paradox. If the Buddha's true nature is eternal, why is he physically passing away? And specifically, why on the 15th day of the month? Why not just stick around forever? Well, the sutra uses the 15th day full moon as a totally brilliant metaphor. The text outlines how the full moon dispels darkness, calms the heat of the world, and opens the night flowers. On the 15th day, the moon lacks absolutely nothing. It is 100% complete with no waxing or waning. So the Buddha chooses this exact time to demonstrate that his entry into nirvana isn't him disappearing into the dark. It's a transition into a state of absolute luminous completeness. And the timing of the season is just as intentional. He chose to pass during the vivid growth of the second month, right in the middle of spring. This was a deliberate lesson to break our attachment to temporary, worldly life. Think about it. Spring is when the ice melts, flowers are blooming, new life is everywhere. It's the peak season of worldly attachment. By demonstrating his physical passing right in the middle of this seasonal explosion of life, the Buddha is performing the ultimate pattern interrupt. He is shattering a reliance on the temporary cycles of nature, pointing us instead toward that eternal, unchanging joy of the true self we just talked about. Now for our final piece of the puzzle, Section 4, The Mother Travels, Never Passing. Here is where the sutra drops an absolute bombshell. It boldly states that his physical passing is entirely an orchestrated teaching tool. The Buddha says, point blank, "And I truly do not enter nirvana." It's wild, right? To the ordinary eye, his physical body is failing, but he is merely manifesting an exit. His true essence, that eternity, bliss, self, and purity, is completely untouched. He is showing nirvana, but not actually entering into some state of non-existence. To explain this, the Buddha uses a super relatable metaphor. Imagine a mother with many children. She packs her bags and travels to another country. Now, because the children can't physically see her sitting in their living room anymore, their limited, inverted perception takes over. They start crying, declaring, "Our mother has died." But the mother is perfectly fine. She's alive, well, and active. She just isn't in their immediate line of sight. It's only the children's limited perspective that creates the illusion of loss. So, why stage this departure at all? He stages it so his followers won't become spiritually lazy. If the Buddha stayed in his physical body forever, we'd definitely grow complacent. We take him for granted thinking, oh, the Buddha's always here. I don't need to practice today. I don't need to do the hard work of looking within. By manifesting his departure, he creates a vital sense of urgency. He literally forces us to stop looking outside for a physical savior and to start looking inward to realize our own eternal, blissful, and pure Buddha nature. I want to leave you with this final thought to really ponder as you navigate your own understanding of reality. If the ultimate reality is truly one of boundless joy, purity, and an enduring true self, then all those anxieties and attachments we exhaust ourselves over every single day, they are simply inverted perceptions. They are the illusions. So ask yourself, what temporary, fleeting illusions are you mistaking for absolute truth today? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning your perceptions and never stop seeking the reality behind the illusion.